Hello adventurers, my name is Chance, welcome to my spellbook, and thank you so much for tuning into the 4th episode of our half-elf subrace series. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of the better subraces in general, the Mark of Detection half-elf. This subrace is found in the Eberron Rising from the Last War book, and is very commonly banned by a lot of dungeon masters for just being too good in a lot of cases. You've heard me talk about it before in previous races, and I'm likely going to have to address it every time, at least at a glance, so I'm sorry about that, but, you know, these videos have to be viewable independent of one another, at least to some degree. So, the half-elf Mark of Detection, it's a little bit strange, as so far as to say, it does override the versatility trait you get, but it also overrides the ability scores you get from being a half-elf initially. So just bear that in mind. You still do get your Fey ancestry, and you do still get your dark vision, but you just get more than that. In any case, let's move on now to discussing its traits. Upon opting for the Mark of Detection, you get a +2 to Wisdom and +1 to any other ability score. More than likely you're going to go for Charisma, but it kind of depends on your overall build, I suppose. You'll also gain Deductive Intuition. When you make an investigation or insight check, you can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to the ability check. You can use this essentially an unlimited amount of times, so long as the check occurs, of course. So it's really a handy feature to have. And if you thought that was all, and you know, if you're looking at any other of the half-elf subraces that aren't from Eberron, that would be about it. But there's a little bit more. Let's check out their other traits. You also gain access to magical detection. You can cast the Detect Magic and Detect Poison and Disease spells with this trait. Starting at 3rd level, you can also cast the See Invisibility spell with it. Once you cast any of these spells with this trait, you can't cast that spell again until you finish a long rest. Wisdom is your spellcasting ability for these spells, and you don't require any material components for them. This is really cool, and it's a good way of adding magical utility to your character without sinking any points into a spellcaster or wasting any of your feats. It's quite nice, and these are spells that are going to be viable at honestly every level of play. If anything, they're going to become more viable in later levels, which is a common worry for a lot of these racial-based spells, for lack of a better term for them, as they have a tendency of dropping off at a certain point. However, Detect Magic, Detect Poison and Disease, and See Invisibility are all likely to scale up as you level, which is quite nice. And they have access to one of the better extended spell lists. Detect Evil and Good, Detect Poison and Disease at level 1, at level 2 Detect Thoughts and Find Traps, at 3rd level Clairvoyance and Non-Detection, 4th level Arcane Eye and Divination, and 5th level Legend Lore, which is a spell I'm not looking forward to covering on this channel. I mean, I'm looking forward to covering it, I'm not looking forward on making the video for it. It's gonna be a long video, man. In any case, all that being said, you know, there's a lot of good gems on here. Detect Evil and Good is renowned as one of the best low-level spells, at least for giving you an edge in combat. Detect Poison and Disease is super handy in terms of a utility angle. Detect Thoughts is very similar. Find Traps I consider to be one of the biggest wastes of a spell title in 5e in general. It's probably my least favorite spell, to be completely honest with you. Clairvoyance and Non-Detection, however, are quite good. Arcane Eye is hilarious if you use it in certain ways. Divination is kind of similar. And Legend Lore, once again, is one that I've been requested to do several times, and every time I look at that spell description, I cringe a little inside. In any case, quite good overall, clearly. And it's worth noting, just because you have access to the spells doesn't mean you can necessarily cast them. You have to have the relevant spell slots for them, and they do take up your choices, so, you know, bear that in mind when you're using these. I understand it looks a little strange on the chart, but that's how it actually works. So, yeah, in any case, let's move on to my personal thoughts. The Mark of Detection half-elf is leaps and bounds beyond all of the other subraces we've covered, and is a substantial improvement in almost every way to the half-elf in general. Don't get me wrong, versatility is a great trait, but, you know, for the ability to be a better investigator, be able to cast some of the more useful spells in the game, and gain access to one hell of an extended spell list, it's a no-brainer in most cases. That being said, though, you know, maybe if you aren't a caster at all and you have no need for spells, then it's probably not worth it for you. However, for the majority of spellcasters, this is a more than viable option by every standards I can reasonably think of. But, you know, let me know what you guys think down beneath. Mention any thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns you have regarding the Mark of Detection. It's just a very strong choice, as far as I can tell, though. If you'd like to get access to a free one-shot, though, feel free to check out the Guild Hall, use code WELCOME, and it's all yours. And we're doing a little project right now where it's an interactive Dungeons & Dragons campaign, so if you're curious about that, check out the link below. A lot of you already have, and, you know, it seems to be growing at quite a nice rate. A lot more videos will be coming out for it, and I'm really trying to wrap this channel up, if you can't tell, and I'm close-ish to doing it, so... I don't know. I feel like the Dungeons and Dragons interactive campaigns are a really strong idea for my type of content, and maybe for the D&D YouTube space in general, but maybe that's delusions of grandeur. It's kind of hard to say. In any case, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I really do appreciate it, and as always, happy adventuring.